Making your way through work Monday takes everything you got. Then Monday night rolls around and you realize there's a shot. You're only 10 points away. All those times when your team had no fight, they're just so gosh darn frail. Then your star quarterback let another deep ball sail, and your third round pick bet on his team. Then go check out our streets where everybody knows your pain, and they listen to complaints. You wanna be where you can see our bodies bring you no shame. You wanna go where everybody knows your pain.
Welcome into another.
Oh, he froze up on us.
He froze
Cody.
and took the worst possible moment to take a drink. I mean,
Welcome into
fabulous.
another edition of the Dad Bod Fantasy Squad. I'm Rob. I'm here with Mudcat Cody and Frozen Mario.
Frozen Mario.
Oh, I'm back?
You're back. Thought you might have fallen asleep.
Man, my eyes are watering. Boys, I had the intro ready to rumble, and I must have froze throughout the whole thing. And I wonder
that's not true at all, because as the intro was starting, you still had your cup of coffee to your mouth.
That's a good point.
It's okay, Mario. I took care of it.
He did. Robbie did a nice job.
Good. What's up, boys? Is this our first episode of the year together? I'm trying to think. We did one already?
We've had a couple together.
We did the draft.
The draft is the one that I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
Well, I'm ready for it, man. I mean, obviously tonight you're going to make fun of me probably throughout the whole episode because I dozed off right before, but I am ready to get back into the swing of things. How about you?
Are we
boys?
starting a habit that I'm your alarm clock? Because I'm pretty sure my text woke you up on Monday.
It might have.
2 in a row. 2 for 2.
The 8 to 9. 8 to 9 gets me every time.
I need you to get me Jess's number so I can just text her and be like, wake your husband up.
Yeah, and she's going to be like, no.
Probably a good idea.
We do have a fun episode today. We're going to be talking mainly rookie RBs. Again, the news hasn't been the most exciting things, but there are some pieces of news that we want to cover. And we have a dad topic today. Who put this?
I did. It's a new
this?
dad topic for me. This is an advanced. Now this is advanced dad topic. This isn't entry level dad. I'm pretty serious about covering my plants for frost these days. Do you guys cover your plants when it's going to frost overnight?
What?
I don't, but I know about it.
I lost a lilac bush last year, and it's stuck with me. I can't stomach another one.
There's a gravestone in your backyard, and it's like.
And honestly, when I was digging it up, I looked at it. I'm like, man, I let this happen. I let you die.
What do you just got? Burlap sacks laying around?
Bed sheets.
Okay.
Bed sheets and bungee cords. Say that again now?
No way. We have our fig tree, and Jess puts it away for a winter, and we try to, like, when we start getting it out, we do have to monitor watching frost, but that's the only thing.
Do you know what you're supposed to do with those?
What's up, Albert?
Fig tree? What do you do with the fig tree?
Yeah, let me hear it.
Go ahead, Mario. Do you any idea?
I mean, it's vague.
What the old school Italians do with fig trees when it's getting cold out, like for the winter.
Ours is in our garage. I don't know what the old school Italians do.
They bury them.
Whoa!
Bury them?
Mm-hmm. They dig a hole and they bury them in the ground.
But what happens when it's big?
They bury them.
Okay, so if it's a 6-foot tree, they're digging a 6 feet. Yeah.
Well, you're not putting a 6-foot tree in your garage. So once they get that big, you're not doing that. But yeah, you're supposed to bury them. You're supposed to cover them in burlap sacks and bury them.
You really just need to cover your like budding and flowering things. Like a bush is fine, but like lilac and my magnolia I cover. I got
once they start flowering, that's when you're supposed to cover them.
Cody, this is a sensitive side that I didn't even know about. Yeah.
No,
I told you this is deep dad topic. This isn't new dad topic. I've been around the block.
Yeah, once you turn 30 and you want to keep your yard looking nice.
That's right. That lilac can't be losing her flowers in April. Come on.
Yeah, I
don't have anything that dies in the ground that dies.
I lost one of mine last year because something ate it. I don't know what. I think a squirrel or something. I had
terrible dad.
It was a new It was a new type of.
Should put a fence around it.
Like a new type of bush. It was called
chicken wing.
It was called Dragon's Breath, and it looked awesome.
Yep.
So it looked awesome, and then I had Dragon's Breath, and then I had a Fire and Ice hydrangea.
So you were really going for the Game of Thrones.
I was calling my yard the Game of Thrones. I was walking around like I got the Game of Thrones yard. I loved it, and then my Dragon's Breath died, and I was so upset.
Yeah, my Jane Magnolia. It's a really nice pink flower. Oh, it's nice. Oh, it's nice.
Yeah, man. The older you get, the more you like flowers, I guess.
This is new. It really is new for me.
I honestly haven't got to that level. Everything I had
mulch my yard today. Put my outfit on. I was walking around, getting ready to go, stretching.
You got to stretch.
Got some sun.
Mulching is a potential back injury, no doubt about it.
Yeah, I threw my back out last year doing it, so now I know what I'm doing.
Robbie, you'll have to be the only other side person for when Brian's sending me pictures of his freshly built house with a brand new lawn and saying, "Look how picturesque Mario wishes his house was this picturesque." And Cody, I know you're catching some strays here because you have a newer house, but this is really directed at Brian, who's like, "Look at my lawn is always better than you." I'm like, this was manufactured last year. What are we talking about here? This isn't even a fair comparison.
I'll tell you. So I got last year I had my garage torn down, rebuilt, and it tore up my backyard. So I got a bunch of dirt dropped off, redid it, leveled it out. I did all this myself, leveled it out.
Oh gosh,
did everything. I seeded it. Job. Oh yeah, I seeded it, and then I did the peat moss on the top, and I watered it every 3 hours. There's no better feeling to watch like the little buds of the grass when you're like growing your own grass, and it's like a big project. There's no better feeling.
You planted your seed, and something grew from it.
These are my babies.
Those are my babies. I don't have any kids yet, but that was I've never been so proud in my life.
Rob wakes up at 7 a.m. and he goes and kisses each individual grass.
You should have seen so nice. Literally every 3 to 2 hours I was outside just sitting there watering for like a half hour just looking at it. I'm like, oh yeah, we're getting there, baby.
Dude, give it a couple of years and next thing you know, your shirts are going to start coming up and you're going to be digging in your belly button while doing it too.
I hope not.
I'm gonna say this live on air just so it's clear.
I'm
Brian's
wearing
lawn
cutoffs.
Cannot hold anything that resembles a candle to my lawn.
He doesn't even have one yet, but when he does, he will.
He knows it. I send pictures after I mow, and he just
you haven't got the
radio
pictures
silence
yet.
Radio silence.
There's a guy across the street from me who used to be a golf course supervisor or something,
maintenance guy.
His lawn is so pristine. Like he has that roller where you'll see him just walking around rolling his yard, and it's like the perfect grass, the perfect, like you could putt on it. It's beautiful.
It's carpet grass.
And I just I look at him, I'm like, I envy you so much. This is what I want.
It's a dream.
A couple weeks ago, I had somebody tell me that I was making the rest of the lawns look bad, and it was more proud than the day I actually became a dad.
Attaboy.
At that day, Cody felt something touching his toes, and he wasn't quite sure. But he walked with a big stride.
No better feeling.
All right, let's hop into some news before we kill all our time here on gardening and covering up plants.
We could do an hour.
First piece, the Dad Bod Gardening Squad. First piece is the schedule has been giving us some nuggets. I think it releases tomorrow, if I'm not mistaken. But we have got some nuggets, and here's a couple of the games that have been released. Dolphins versus Jets on Black Friday. That's a first. No Black Friday games ever. It is kind of cool.
It is.
Probably unnecessary, but I'm going to tune in and enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
Eagles versus Giants on Christmas. So Philly NY Christmas, and then Bengals versus Chiefs on New Year's Eve. That's going to be a hell of a matchup, especially getting into. That's going to be what week? Is that week 17, Robbie?
Mm-hmm. I believe so.
I mean, think about those stacks and those players.
Yeah. Yep.
Gosh, well, that might be post fantasy football now.
If it's week 17, though, it'd be good.
Don't they normally kick off the week before? Like the finals is usually the week before.
No, it'd be week 17. You'd have to.
Well, there's 18 now because there's 17 games, 18 weeks now. Yep.
You got. I did the same thing. It's only been 2 years, buddy.
You know.
That's actually. Take out games like your favorite team or whoever it is. That's actually about the best matchup you could ask for. I mean, that's as good as it gets.
Yeah. Has there been a New Year's Eve game?
It doesn't feel like a thing to me.
I don't think.
I think there has.
I love the Black Friday. I'm super interested in the Black Friday. A Friday afternoon game, 3:00. You're going into the weekend. No one's working. It's going to be a great game.
Yeah.
Yep.
The Bengals versus Chiefs really brings back scary, weird memories of Bengals versus Bills. That was the same time. Sate signed Foster Moreau, 3 years, $12 million. So
did Brian put this note in?
We're in the deep of news here. But I do think this has some implications if you were on the Juwan Johnson hype train.
Yeah, and Taysom Hill still there. I mean, it's busy for sure.
Busy.
Yeah, Juwan, up until this point, Juwan was like, I was gonna have him probably top 7, top 6 tight ends. I was super high on him coming into the season. I still love him. I think he's an awesome player. But Foster Moreau there, it's gonna clog some stuff up.
And it
definitely
very
does
well
not help his stock.
This could be a blocking tight end, though. Like, I mean, it's not like Foster has much of a history of doing that much. Was diagnosed with leukemia. Is that correct?
I don't know what the season looks like for him because he does have Hodgkin's or not Hodgkin's lymphoma, I think. Well, he has. I don't know which one it is off the top of my head, but so you really don't know what the season holds yet.
Yeah, but I don't think they would sign him 3 years, $12 million, $8 million guaranteed. If he wasn't going to play.
That's a fair statement.
Yeah, I'm not convinced he's not there to be the Darnell Washington 6th offensive lineman. Bucks OC says no rush to decide starting QB. Do you guys have any thoughts on this? Interesting, for sure.
I mean, going into camp, it's going to be Baker and Kyle Trask. Seems like
the matchup we've been looking for.
Yeah, it surprises me a little bit because I know that's been all the chatter, but I've just had the feeling that like it's Baker's job to lose, but maybe not.
Yeah, but as of late, he's lost a lot more jobs than he's won. So
he has.
It could be, it could be a sincere, like a legitimate competition into camp, and I would not be surprised if Kyle Trask beats him out. That's all I'm saying. I wouldn't be surprised.
Here's the nugget that I'm pulling from this is I'm much more interested if Kyle Trask wins this role than I am Baker. I mean, because not only is that saying something about Kyle Trask winning, but there's upside there where Baker, everything is priced in. Like we're already at, I feel close to ceiling. Like he would have to exceed expectations playing wise to go beyond that. That like, if you lose camp, then it's, I mean, Kyle Trask is the one to win something here.
I think it's really. Go ahead, Cody.
All I was going to say is I think I'm actually going to go out on a little bit of a limb and say I think Baker Mayfield is officially the next Ryan Fitzpatrick. I think that's what the next 8 years looks like.
I see. I get where you're coming from with that. I like that statement. For me, I'm interested to see where this goes for all of the other players on this team because I think we've seen. Dude, Baker just can't have sustainable wide receivers for fantasy football. Can Kyle Trask?
I think what I would say is that he can't sustain a elite wide receiver 1 for fantasy. I think he can roll you out 2 wide receiver 2s. but I don't think he can make you a wide receiver 1.
Yeah, but like if Baker Mayfield is the quarterback, I'm not touching Mike Evans or Godwin.
To me, Mike Evans and Godwin are both wide receiver 14 to 24.
Yeah, but for me, if Baker Mayfield is that quarterback, I think that goes from 14 to 24 to low 20 or like 20 to like 30. You know what I think it pushes that down the line a little bit for me.
Yeah. He spreads it around for sure.
Yeah. Too much.
We'll definitely dive into that deeper as we get more clarification in camp. But it is time to get into some of these rookie RBs.
Yeah.
The thing is, I do want to kind of preface this whole conversation and say the guys that we have talked about endlessly, Bijan, Gibbs, we might be a little bit quicker on. And then also some of the other guys that may not have the draft capital, we might skip or not get into them as much. Really going to look at the middle of the pack here. The most. We're going to look at as many as we can, but we're
all of the third round RBs, really, because we have a bunch of third rounders.
You're right. It's probably a lot of third round, a little bit of second. So let's kick off with the one and only Bijan Robinson, the generational talent, the future Hall of Famer. Ran a 4.46 40, 5'11", 215. Dude's a monster.
Prototypical.
Everything about him has been good. Cody, how you feeling about this Atlanta spot at round 1, pick 8?
My initial reaction when he got drafted was I had hoped for better offense. I'm the classic person that likes, running backs in better offenses. But at the end of the day, Tyler, I'm not that good. Algier rushed for 1,000 yards on 4.9 yards per carry. So
put some respect on that name.
I think Bijan Robinson is going to be A-okay, and you're going to start him up week 1.
Robbie, do you feel the same? I think it's a very obvious question, right?
Yeah. The dude's first college career, he's averaged 6 points.
You can almost hear the wind whistling through.
Is that yours, Cody?
Yeah.
You can almost smell the farts that were taken as mowing this, dude.
I wish I would have blown the sidewalk off before I'd taken the picture, though.
You should have.
What a drop.
But it's gorgeous. It is gorgeous. It's a fantastic yard. But for Bijan, if we're getting back to Bijan Robinson, for his career at Texas, 6.3 yards per attempt, 33 touchdowns. He's only had 6 fumbles. I don't see a weakness in his game. Let's pull up his receiving stats, but they're still,
they're fine. They're
fine.
Massive.
2 years ago, 26 catches, 31 targets, 293 yards. He's still averaging 13.4 yards per reception, getting in the end zone. I just don't think he was utilized in the receiving game as much as he could be at Texas, where he could be more, especially with a rookie quarterback, or not rookie, but first year starting quarterback, might kind of lean more on dumping down a little bit. I think everyone said everything that we need to, right? He's generational talent, plug and play. He's an 8th overall pick. I don't think there's too many question marks. If you're going to draft him, even in redraft, I think he's worth a first round pick, or early second. He's that good.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I think it's really hard to Wade. I don't know how you're passing on him. The argument could be made 101 in redraft, and to me that's pretty crazy. Also, I think I'm going to be voiding running backs in general, but you talk about the landing spot. Neither of you really necessarily mentioned the landing spot as much. This guy knows how to run the ball. Arthur Smith does a good job game planning how to run the ball. So combine 100%. That with insane talent. That's insane to me. Going to be quick on Bijan. So we're going to go to Jahmyr Gibbs. 5'11", 201, ran a 4.36, was drafted way earlier than anticipated. The Lions, what people think have reached on him, went round 1, 12th overall. Cody.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you love the Lions taking DeAndre Swift number 2? Did he freeze?
That's exactly kind of what I think I did.
Okay, good now.
But that was exactly my note there is, this is the DeAndre Swift role. And we've all spent a lot of years excited for DeAndre Swift. He just couldn't stay on the field. He's been drafted very highly. And so if you put a player in that role who's going to stay on the field, runs a 4.36 and caught almost 4 passes a game his senior year, I think you got something for fantasy. I think you do. For redraft, I'm talking. I mean, I think this is a borderline RB1. I think he's probably right at that turn at this moment. It's going to change a ton in the offseason, but I think he's right there at the turn of RB1, RB2 in redraft for this year.
Yeah.
Robbie, do you have the same love?
100%. I mean, I think he's going to be more, you got Montgomery there. I think he'll get more of that inside work. Even if he gets maybe 12 touches in the run game, that's still enough. He only had 151 attempts at Bama this year, and he had a 6.1 yards per attempt. He had 7 touchdowns. His real attribute is his receiving in the receiving game. I mean, he was unbelievable in Alabama, and he was even better at Georgia Tech. I mean, he averaged for his career between Alabama and Georgia Tech 11.8 yards per reception. He had 8 total touchdowns. If you watch his tape, if you watch a ton of work. I mean, he had 44 receptions in 22, 36 and 21. If you watch his tape from Georgia Tech, what they did a little differently than what they did at Alabama was they utilized him more deeper down the field, and he excelled at that. I mean, when he gets matched up on a linebacker or even a safety on like a wheel route, or if he's in the slot and he gets a linebacker on him and he does a go route or something like that, he's unbelievable tracking the ball for a running back. It is something that I don't think that I've seen a running back being able to receive that well out of the backfield. He just is kind of a freak in the passing game. And I think that's where, if they utilize him the right way and Jared Goff kind of looks for him a little bit in that kind of field, he could be very, very special. Like I said, even if he only gets 12 touches in the run game and he gets like 8 targets in the pass game, he could be an RB1. And that's, only, on 20 touches.
Everybody's going to beat up on the touches because of Montgomery. Like, Montgomery is just Jamal Williams. Nothing's changed in Detroit.
Yeah, I really don't think it. I think even if, I think Montgomery will still get like 15 touches a game, maybe. And Gibbs gets maybe 12, but that's fine, because I really do think he's going to do the majority of his damage in the pass game.
He won't get enough work to be like, hey, he's a top 5 running back. We're not selling that. But
no. But is it out of the realm of possibility? Maybe not this season, but in like 2 or 3 years, 100%.
Agreed.
I find it a little bit harder to see that being in the realm of possibility, and even in 2 or 3 years. And
I think he could be a CMC. I really do think he could be just like CMC.
Well, let me throw some cold water on this hype, because this is getting a little outrageous, Robbie. We got to consider a couple things here. If we have this amount of Gibbs love, I believe I completely agree with both of what you guys are saying about the David Montgomery rushes won't play into Gibbs' value. We made that argument. I stood on that bridge last year. It was about ETN at the time, which obviously his role was completely different than what I expected. Yeah. And I had the same love for Swift because of this exact rule. But Gibbs is a little bit different, right? The dude's under 200 pounds. How many successful RBs are under 200 pounds?
I could be wrong.
I got 199.
I'm seeing 199.
Okay, I thought I had 201.
But
regardless, yeah.
He could eat a cheeseburger.
Yeah.
He's 5'9", 199, which 5'9" is kind of short for an RB, but height isn't as much of a concern as weight is. I think the only current guy under 200 pounds right now, I think, is James Cook in the league. That's one of my main concerns. My other concern is this. We talk about all these targets, 8 to 9. I could see that weeks 1 through 6, but we are going to have to adjust how we're feeling about Amon-Ra or about Jameson long term, because like if we're expecting Gibbs to be so involved in the pass game more than DeAndre Swift, who was RB I think 21, so we got to be expecting him to do a little bit more than Swift last year, then we inevitably have to kind of take away from Jameson and Amon-Ra in Dynasty. Yeah. So with that being said, and I'll leave this here, I think I still take JSN over Gibbs if the choice is there, but that's my only, I think some people are taking Gibbs over JSN. So
yeah. I'll just quick touch on it. He's 200 pounds. He's 21 years old. A 21-year-old could easily add 10 to 15 pounds in a year. Like, I'm not worried about that. Speed. I don't think it would do anything to his speed.
I won't say 10 or 15, but I wouldn't be shocked to see him play at 204 or 206, and that number doesn't scare me.
Yeah,
he's not a Kane, right? Like tiny. I think a Kane is like 189 or something.
Yeah,
100%. Like I'm not worried about the weight.
There's several drafted this year under 200, which is super intriguing.
I'm sure he's in
Little Tank. No, somebody else.
I'm sure he's in the weight room right now lifting. I'm sure they got him on a protocol to kind of add some weight to him, which I'm not really worried about that. I think you're right, Mario, with what you're saying. If anything, I think this really does hurt Amon a little bit. It'll take, just for me,
Cody's got to be off of the Jameson train then.
Swift had 70 targets in 14 games. He's just dropping into the Swift role. So if you liked those guys last year, you like them again.
Yeah, but I
don't think anything changed.
Well, what about Jameson?
I'm not saying a ton. But like Amon does all his damage within 20 yards. I think Gibbs will get not a ton. Yeah, I'm saying like 10 to 15 targets throughout the season, which isn't crazy, but still dings them a little bit. 10 to 15, whatever that is. But
if you want to say Williams has an impact when he comes back, sure. But to say, hey, all these guys have an impact because of Gibbs, I don't buy that. They would have the same impact if Swift was still there. So I don't think this is the factor that's but making I think the cog in the wheel. I don't think they're pulling targets from anybody to give them to Gibbs. But he's just picking up the Swift role.
They didn't use Swift last year.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to get at. You're using the numbers that Swift put up last year, which was 70 targets, but you're making the argument before. You're making the argument that Gibbs will inevitably be closer to 10 through 12 range, correct? RB 10 to 12.
Which I think honestly, I think Swift
was efficient. He's always drafted that way, and that's fine.
Yeah,
but he never finishes that way though. He finishes right around the 19. It is. He played 40%.
I think I'm confused.
Max snaps in games. I am saying what I'm understanding from both of you is that Gibbs will be better than Swift. He will finish.
I think he's Swift but healthy.
He will finish better than Gibbs.
Yes.
Are you expecting him to get more than 40% snaps though? Because last year Swift didn't crack 40 snaps. 40%.
It's early in the season, but I'll give you it's early. It's obviously early in the offseason, but I'm gonna give him 80 targets and 140 carries.
Yeah, that's a ton more work than Swift, I think.
So Swift, just to play.
I don't think it's a ton more.
Just to play devil's advocate for you, Cody. Swift played. He had 63 targets last season, and he didn't play weeks 4 through 7.
I have it 70 targets.
I got 63 on PFF. And then, we
all 99
know...
carries. So he had 170 in 14 games. And what did I just give Gibbs?
220.
220. Yeah, 50 touches. 3 more games. 50 touches, but 3 more games. I don't think
he didn't play.
I think I'm within 5-10%.
They didn't utilize him at all. We all watched the games. We all saw what was going on in Detroit. They barely played him especially in the middle of the season, like weeks 8 through, maybe 14. Like they just didn't even utilize
like a shoulder. Yeah.
So Swift's 17 pace was 205. I gave Gibbs 220. I don't think. I'm talking a touch a game.
Message in here. Where would you feel comfortable taking Gibbs in redraft? So
running back, I think it's a turn for me.
Oh, first round?
No. At running back. Sorry, the turn of RB1, RB2. That was a bad way to say it.
Okay. I get you. So you're right around 12, 13 is what you're saying. Yep. RB off the board, which I think normally, and it's kind of evolving. We're getting a lot more wide receivers, but I believe what Cody's saying here is probably mid third to late third.
That's probably fair.
I think that's where you would.
It might be more like earlier third.
It just depends. I think wide receivers are going off a lot more this season specifically. Like we're seeing like 6 or 7 of guys being drafted first round.
You could see Patty go early again this year. You could see a quarterback sneak in there. You're going to see Kelsey go.
But what you're saying is RB 11 through 13 for you, Rob?
Mm-hmm.
Probably where he's going to land.
Just to keep touching on this just a little bit. He played 14 games last year, DeAndre Swift. He played 14 games. He had under 30 snaps in 8 of the 14 games. That's like 40% snap, 30% snaps. Like that's, I think Gibbs will definitely have a bigger role in this offense.
But I don't think you should expect a massive snap share necessarily. More than that, but I don't think you should expect a massive. I mean, basically, if you're telling me Swift was on pace for 200 touches and that's why he's on the field, it means every time he's on the field, he got the ball.
Yeah, literally. He's highly efficient.
So, all I care about is the touches. For me, because
and I think those gimmicky touches and like all that will go to Gibbs at a higher percentage of the offense.
Even at the same clip,
makes
you're
sense.
fine.
Yeah,
but yes, I hear what you're saying, and you could very well be right. Even at the same clip, I'm not scared.
Mm-hmm.
I think you have to acknowledge, and maybe I'm wrong, and maybe me and Rob are both wrong about this. I think at the bare minimum, this has to throw some cold water on Jameson if you love Gibbs like this.
I haven't necessarily been hyped on Jameson, so that might be a fair statement.
Yeah, and like it really kind of, and maybe it pigeonholes him into the
Jameson Williams.
Yes, what it kind of seems like we saw last year is they want the Deshaun Jackson type of receiver, a deep vertical threat, which is already a scary wide receiver to own in Dynasty. It's a scary wide receiver to own in general. The do or die kind of wide receiver.
That's why for me, I genuinely think if any of Gibbs's receiving works hurts anybody, I really think it's Amon. I don't think Gibbs
does a lot of short routes.
Yeah,
I think Jameson. This is what I find so funny. I think Jameson hurts Amon, not Gibbs.
100%.
Gibbs is taking over a role that's already used, and that's where all of our disagreement really comes from. You guys like the argument.
But what I'm saying is, I don't think
players. I don't. Think
I just
Gibbs
don't think.
Anything.
I don't think the Swift, like you're saying, Swift, right? Like I'm
going to agree with what Rob says right here.
I don't think they utilize Swift as much as they're going to utilize Gibbs this season. Like I think Gibbs is going to have.
I think they wanted to utilize Swift a ton more last season.
Yes, and I think that's going to be Gibbs this season, which I think will hurt Amon if anything. And I think the combination of JMO and Gibbs there will culminate into hurting Amon and just enough, if that makes sense.
So I know we're spending too much time here, but like if I had Gibbs for 220 on touches and we talk about the electric player is theoretically and all the receiving work, which is extremely valuable, really you're saying that you think that usage is going to be much higher. He's a lot higher than RB12 for you then. A lot higher.
I haven't done the numbers yet, to be honest.
Of course,
with you.
I don't expect you to die on this hill. No.
But say he had 63 targets and you said 90.
100 carries,
100 carries, so 163. Yeah, I'd say it's I would say about, and he missed.
That was a 205 pace. Yeah, that was a 205 pace. 205.
So 205 pace, and he was probably on pace for like 75 targets. Like, yeah, I could see it being more into the 240s, 250s.
Then if that's what you end up charting him for, he's going to come out of your RB5. I'm telling you. Those touches for a receiving running back, he is going to be high.
It's the receiving touches, yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be
highly possible.
He's going to be massive then.
I'm excited to do our ranks just for, solely this conversation. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely interesting. I'm going to just leave this and then I promise I'm moving on because we haven't touched on it. DJ Chark did actually pretty well when he was healthy and he demanded 6 to 7 targets on a normal basis. Have to assume that the DJ Chark, I don't think so. I mean, probably. Probably. But there's also a better tight end there now that I'm not saying is going to even be in a top 12 situation, but he's going to demand more targets than Brock, whatever his name was, or I can't even think of the tight ends' names there that were there after the DJ Hawkinson trade. So I think keep that in mind as well. They have a young tight end that there is. Let's move on to another RB here. This was probably the hardest pill for everyone to swallow, and it really does suck. We're looking at an RB draft class that hasn't been this deep since supposedly 2017. And one of the top guys, Zach Charbonnet, gets drafted by none other the Seattle Seahawks in round 2. Great draft
Makes
capital. 52nd overall, great draft capital, but really kills his value knowing that there's an already young stud, Kenneth Walker, third there, Ken Walker, third. Charbonnet, times about, did I disconnect?
Yeah, you're breaking
It's not going
up.
well.
I
think you look.
Shit.
All right, so
yeah.
Cody,
so
go
ahead.
It's the website. It's anytime I look up stuff. So Zach Charbonnet.
Cody, give me your opinion on Zach Charbonnet.
Yeah, even
am I lagging?
I was excited to see. No, I just thought you were like starting a sentence there, and then you just started drinking coffee. We were just staring at you, like waiting for you to talk.
Well, the thing is, I think I said something, and it took like 3 minutes later for it to actually come through.
That must have been what it is, because it was like a sentence started, and then all of a sudden you're just drinking coffee. Yeah. I mean, he was a player I was excited to see where he landed, and for redraft, there's just no real interest from me with Kenneth Walker, DK, Tyler Lockett, JSN. I mean, just too many
decent tight ends.
Yeah, just too many mouths to feed for this year.
Yeah,
still interested in Dynasty because you don't know what happens, but too much.
Even in Dynasty, it scares the hell out of me, just because Ken's it's a second year. You know, like he was so good last season. I think the bigger for me on this is the bigger question is what does this do to Ken Walker for Dynasty, for redraft? Because Charbonnet, he was really good, really efficient in UCLA. He had 14 touchdowns last season. In 21, he had 13 touchdowns. Like, is that going to eat into Ken Walker's goal line? Like, is he going to be the kind of in between the 20s back? He was a decent receiving back there. He had a 91.5 PFF offensive grade. Like, he was very, very good at UCLA. Yep. So it's just kind of, are they going to split the carries, or is it going to be 70-30? Like, what's the share going to be there?
Yeah. Your 70-30 feels right. Maybe it's 65-35. But even at that, you got to think Kenneth Walker is just an RB2, right?
I don't know. Or are they so gun shy because they've dealt with so many injuries at the RB position that they're just going to go 50-50?
Man, that was,
like that's all they've dealt with over the past years.
It is
like you know what I mean? Rashard Penny, like between all these years, they've had nothing but injuries at the RB position. So they use high draft capital on a good RB.
That's scary.
They have Ken Walker. Are they just going to try to keep these guys healthy throughout the season? Like, that's kind of what I'm gathering from this.
What pick was Ken Walker? I can't remember.
He was a second rounder.
Second?
Yeah, he was a high draft pick.
Yeah.
It was a little bit later than in the second because Brees went, I think, 210, right around there. And he wasn't before Brees. But I got to be honest with you guys. Until Robbie's making his points about maybe they put him in there a little bit more, I have going to this landing spot. He was one of my favorite RBs. It was when I started accumulating draft picks. He was my target. I was like, this is the guy I'm going with. I like that he looks like he catches a ton. He rushes great. He's bigger than Gibbs. So he kind of has the same sort of, not quite the receiving work that Gibbs does, but he has a little bit
4.5 speed.
So
bigger.
It just until you made that point about maybe they work him into the offense in more of a closer capacity of 50%, 40% even. I really have no interest in him in redraft and not dynasty either. It's not like Kenneth Walker is 27 and we're getting the changing of the guard here.
Yeah. But even at 50%, are you interested?
No,
in redraft,
I don't want either. Right? It's 50. I don't want either of them.
I'm pretty equal with Cody here. It's just going to be too high of draft capital, either in your startup or what you're trading for them. But in redraft, if I could get an RB like Charbonnet in the 8th, which is, I'm going to just take a stab at, I think that's probably where he would go, 9th maybe. Kenneth Walker, Rashad Penny went real late last year. They were great steals. If Charbonnet is even close to that 8th, 9th, 10th round, I'm okay with taking it there because there's value.
Yeah.
No, that's fair. And that's what I just am curious what's going on in the brain trust at Seattle, why they'd use 2 second-round picks, right?
They're just all in on offense in general. You know,
and it just,
ADK drafted you. They're just all in on offense. That's my.
But the only thing I could
set up their defense late,
because there were so many running backs this season or this draft that were good, but they used high draft capital to get that 3rd running back. Like, it just, for me, it just makes me think that they're very scared of injuries at the running back position, and they're just going to try to keep these guys at a limited snap percentage and limited touches on the body to keep them healthy to get to the playoffs. That's all that I can kind of think why they would do that. Well,
they actually he ruined a 3rd RB in this same draft, and I'm blanking on his name right now, but he was the sleeper of the draft.
He was the dude from Georgia.
Keaton Mitchell?
I believe so.
I think it's Keaton Mitchell.
I go look that up, but
yeah, so they added another back, but to their
and
defense,
they got DJ Dallas.
That
Travis
was
Homer.
There you guys go. This is the reason they lost Homer in offseason. And honestly, I think Pete Carroll had a sweet spot for Homer. But DJ Dallas, man, they've given that dude a couple of different attempts, and he's never really showed much. Mm-mm. So they haven't had much of a depth. And they're loading up now. I mean, they probably won't have to take an RB for a couple years. No, Keaton Mitchell went to Baltimore Ravens. Who is the back that they got?
Is that dude from Georgia?
Seahawks draft RB. Kenny McIntosh. It is the Georgia dude. Yeah. You're right.
I remember you saying that name now. Yeah.
And he was crazy efficient on the ground. He did 0 pass work. And I believe there was something, whether it was a heart condition or off the field issues. I can't remember exactly what it was.
The heart issue.
Tucker, yeah.
Okay, Tucker was. Then he had some off the field stuff, which is why he slid so far. But I believe he was like super efficient on the ground last year. And yeah, so they got 3 super young running backs. They have a couple veterans. I just think it all comes back to them being scared of injuries.
We'll go to one of my favorite RBs, unless Cody had another piece on there. If I felt like I'm cutting him off. Okay.
Sure don't.
So
he is your favorite, by the way. This is not one of your favorites. He's your favorite.
He's my favorite of the class.
He is. Yeah.
I mean, you can't love Bijan and Gibbs because they're just too expensive. So Kendre Miller is my favorite of the class. RB from TCU. I'll get his. I don't think he ran the 40. He's 5'11", 215. Not quite yet 21 yet. Gets drafted to the New Orleans Saints. Of course, they signed Jamal Williams, who's 28 years old. They have Alvin Kamara there, who's, I think, 27 years old. But what are we thinking about Kendre Miller's outlook, redraft dynasty?
Dynasty, he's my RB3. Redraft, I'm not touching it with a 10-foot pole. And when I say, let me say this. In Dynasty, he's my RB3 from this draft class. I spoke a little off there.
No, I think I got you.
Yeah.
Robbie?
Yeah, I agree. I'm not super... I mean, if you can get him late in a redraft, I'm fine with that because I am still... I really think the wheels are going to fall off hard on Alvin Kamara, and I'm not...
And he might be facing suspension.
I know there's Jamal Williams there too, but I think the wheels are coming off him sooner than later.
It feels like who was the guy in the Patriots backfield?
LeGarrette Blount. Right now, you mean?
LeGarrette Blount.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It feels like he had the LeGarrette Blount season. And then the next year, LeGarrette Blount got drafted pretty high in redraft, and it all just felt a little fluky. And I love Jamal Williams. I think he's a good runner. Last year felt fluky, and it's not like he did a ton in the rushing. It was a lot of touchdowns.
He's just fine. He's that perfect player to ruin someone else's fantasy season, because as just fine as he is, they're gonna give him 150 touches.
Yeah. And I mean, Kendre Miller, 1,400 yards, 6.2 yards per attempt, 17 touchdowns, only 2 fumbles. He did this at TCU, which granted, like, they don't have the greatest schedule, but it's not like it's a cakewalk. I mean, the dude was an absolute monster at TCU.
He's fast too. He didn't run the 40, and people don't believe he's got 440s, but there's a lot of videos on Twitter right now that are like, we sure this guy wouldn't run a 440 right now? He's fast.
I mean, I redraft, I get it. If you can get him in, like you said, Mario, like the 9th or 10th round, like, I'm fine with that, because I think he's worth a stash.
Those are
and
stash.
Cody, you hit it on the head. Like, he's my number 3 RB in Dynasty. Like,
if you made me pick for redrafts, weirdly, I think I'd pick Charbonnet for this year.
Robbie sold you, huh?
No, I just think there's a clearer path to a workhorse role there.
See, I think there's a clearer path to a workhorse role for Kendre Miller.
I think I agree. To a workhorse role.
Yeah. I think you're Kenneth Walker injury away in Seattle.
I think you're a Jamal Williams
and Alvin Kamara injury.
Even with Alvin, like, Alvin's been on a snap count. You know what I mean? Like, I still think, like, Alvin's not going to touch the ball 30 times.
But even if he gets that Jamal Williams role, you're not calling that a workhorse role.
Yeah, but if he gets 20 touches a game, like, I think he could do some damage.
Jamal Williams ain't getting 20 touches a game.
15? And he gets the goal line work?
I mean, doubt it. I think that's a 10 to 12 touch job personally, but I could be wrong on that.
I think the wheels are coming off Alvin sooner than later. I really do.
I don't disagree with that part. I like that statement.
I also, like, I know he's talking about Alvin. I'm going to hate on Jamal, but I think for both of those reasons, they have 2 guys there. This is why they took Kendre Miller in round 3. The draft capital is there, but I agree with Cody in the sense of I'm much, much, much more excited for him for Dynasty. Than redraft. But in 9th, 10th, 11th, I'll take these are the RBs that I'm looking for. The Charbonnets, the Kendre Millers, and the ones that, like, the upside is there. You just need them to get the chance because they can be the league winners.
And the reality with the really starting at this point and moving forward, historically in the NFL, the majority of your guys who are year 1 fantasy impact guys usually are drafted a little higher than where we're getting into at this vicinity. So you're really talking long shot guys for redraft purposes from here to me.
I mean, look at the past few years, right? Like,
there's exceptions, but generally,
and like, it just takes a team to give a guy a shot.
Dame train. 4th round Dame train.
Is this Damian? Who are we talking about? Damian Harris?
Damian Pierce.
Oh, yeah.
He was a 4th rounder.
My guy.
And that part might be true. There has been some recent ones. I mean, with Damian Pierce, there wasn't an Alvin Kamara and a John Williams.
I just think the talent, for me personally, in recent years, the talent pool is so much greater than what it was 5-6 years ago for these.
I actually think it's different. I'm only going to cut in because I think you're right in a sense. I think teams just haven't valued running back much. So really good running backs have been going in the 3rd, 4th round, I think is what it is.
True. That's 100%. Like, yeah, it all kind of fits in the same pie.
They're good players. What you're saying is right.
100%. Yeah. Like, these players that would have been drafted in, like, the 2nd round, get that draft capital, teams just don't value it as high. So they're going in the 5th round. And all it is like you said, just maybe an injury away, or that starting running backs not doing what they should be doing. So the rookie gets the spot and they take off.
We got a couple more guys here, so I want to keep us moving. Tyjae Spears, RB.
Ouch!
Got a 10
my knee.
What is going on over here, buddy?
I was my inner Tajay.
That's messed up. RB out of Tulane, went round 3, 81st overall, ran a 4.59 40th, so very middle of the road 40, 5'10", 201. What are we thinking about Tyjae Spears?
I'll make mine quick.
Cody.
Too skinny, too slow, too bum of knees, with the caveat that clearly the Titans really like him, which means something.
And I'll do mine. 1,586 yards, 7 yards per attempt.
Oh, we got a homer
touchdowns.
on this one.
We do.
19 touchdowns, only 2 fumbles. He averaged 4.5 yards.
My knee.
4.5 yards after contact per attempt.
You can't find my ACL, Mario. Do you know where I left it?
Hey, all I'm going to say on that, I understand the knee so one, he went to Tennessee where we know Derrick Henry's getting old. They drafted his successor, in my opinion.
It's a great opportunity. I'm with you there.
I disagree all around.
There's trade talks swirling around Derrick Henry. So that whether that happens this season or in the upcoming seasons, or Derrick Henry just falls off a cliff like all running backs. I mean, not all running backs, but historical data has shown that running backs fall off a cliff. The only thing I'll say about the knees, I understand the concerns. I get it 100%. If an NFL team is willing to take a 3rd-round pick and put that much draft capital in a running back with bum knees, the medical data shows to them that they're willing to take the shot that his knees are going to be fine. That's what I'm going to say on that. And I trust the NFL doctors to assess what they see in the x-rays and all that sort of stuff. And I'm just going to go with what they think.
I think you're okay taking real quick on that. I think you're okay taking a 1 contract running back in the 3rd round, is my opinion.
Yeah, there's no way they
I don't think they think I think they think he's a 4-year player, and they're okay with that price in the 4th round.
That's honestly what a lot of the Twitter doctors have said. This is the same org that drafted a RB last year in the 4th. Hardly used him. We have a guy that doesn't have an ACL in his knee. I had to look up what the hell that even means because I didn't know you could even function with walking.
Didn't Hines Ward play with that his whole career?
Hines Ward played his whole career with that. Phillip Rivers, I think, played a game with it, but it's very, very rare. I don't know if you could even find another skill player outside of a quarterback. I think maybe there was Namath was maybe the other guy, but what happens is you tear your ACL. They don't see it when you go to the hospital, like say in Hines Ward's case, he tore his ACL, but he also did something else. I can't remember what it was now. They missed it completely. So in his healing process, he healed without an ACL. What I read from that is it's so rare that you can do that, but it is almost like just a pain management thing. So like if you can just brace yourself through it, there is no like serious disadvantage that I really read. It is your lateral move. There was a lot of people commenting about this, like, why doesn't NFL players just get their ACLs removed, which is sick and messed up and not ideal. But so yeah, it's rare. But the real kicker, even outside of the ACL, is they're already talking about this guy is going to have and is showing early signs of arthritis in his knees. You know who else showed arthritis in their knees recently?
Todd Gurley.
Todd Gurley. And he went down fast. So the things that would have to play out, the things that would have to play out for this ride to be fun is Derrick Henry would have to fall off this year. Or get traded. You would need Tyjae Spears to come in and demand work. You would need this offensive line to not look like shit. They just lost Lawan, and this team to not look like crap. I mean, we're at a borderline rebuild for this whole org.
I think that's. I think they look at Dame Pierce last year.
They added some players to their offensive line. Dame Pierce there was nobody even competing there. Like who are they? They had, but I'm saying they had to count on Dame Pierce.
I agree, but what you're saying is the offensive line has to be great. that the whole offensive system has to be great. The team's got to be good. The Texans were terrible last season. All I'm saying is, just for whatever it's worth, if the Titans start the season 0-4 and somebody loses a running back and comes knocking for Derrick Henry.
No, I think Derrick Henry could possibly get traded, but that doesn't mean that I don't see this being more of a rotational system. Hassan Haskins was drafted in the
By the way,
fourth.
this was the other 200 or sub 200 guy. When I said I think there's another one, it's him.
Yeah, because he's 201. Dame Pierce is 219. He has almost 20 pounds in the guy. For him to put the team on his back, it's a lot easier than little Tyjae Spears.
Okay. One last thing.
Again, he's 200. I think it's easy for them to add weight and over 1,000 yards after contact.
You think you have a lot of faith in like NFL players
he's already slow as shit, so what's it matter?
Really, dude, I don't think
I feel bad because this is like, well, he got him in the third. Like, let's screw it. He's fine, right?
Yeah, I'm not worried about it, but I don't think it's as hard. Like, he's already 200 pounds walking. I don't think it's going to be that hard for him to gain 10 pounds. I really do not think so.
No chance. Not if you're running a 4.59. No chance you're adding 10.
4.59.
You might get faster.
No, you're not only are you adding 10 pounds, you're saying, I want this already jacked dude to add 10 pounds of muscle. That's what you're asking for.
He's fine.
So my transition is, Mario, you were supposed to remember this. Do you remember what you're supposed to remind me all off season about Derrick Henry this year?
I already forgot.
Do you remember there was something?
Yeah.
Last year, I said, this is the last ride. Don't let me go back to the trough.
And so you're saying
last year was the last ride. I think this is the year I bail on Derrick Henry. And I want you to hold me to it because I said back then, all signs point to this is it.
By the way, I think the reason I don't believe it is because I want him to be a Hall of Famer. And in order to do that, I think he needs more.
I don't.
I think
he's already a Hall of Famer.
It depends.
He better already be because it's over.
It really depends on your views of a Hall of Fame, and we could get into this on another episode. But like for Hall of Fame standards, he's not there. For the past 7-8 years, he's there.
But we're just saying that he's going to. But I'm just saying, like, we're saying that he's just going to stop playing. Like, he's probably going to play another 4 seasons, but it might be at just goal line back sort of thing.
No, I think you're dreaming. He's already not that efficient anymore. 4.3 and 4.4 the last 2 years. He's pedestrian now. He just is.
But that even 4 years ago, that yards per carry was pretty solid.
Maybe, but it's really league average now.
Yeah.
He's going to turn 30 at the end of this next year. It is over.
Cody, I'm with you. And that's why I love Tyjae Spears.
Before we did, there you go. Perfect segue into our next running back, Devin Achane. This is actually the sub 200 guy that I'm pretty sure you were referencing, Cody. Yeah. He is 188, 5'9".
Was
drafted by the Miami Dolphins, round 3, 84th overall. His 40-yard dash. Ready for it, boys?
He's faster than Gibbs.
4.32. 99th percentile for RB. Maybe overall. I'm not
probably
sure
overall. Yeah. 4.32 is blazing.
It is blazing. And I mean, you talk about an offense where you can be undersized. This is it. But go ahead.
I haven't ran a 4.32 in 10 years.
He couldn't have gone
ran
to
it before.
Couldn't have gone to a better landing spot.
Agreed.
Yeah, this is dream situation. Undersized. Somebody tweeted out, sorry, I don't have their name. Were we talking about Achane, who's an undersized RB trying to prove himself, going to a coach who is an undersized wide receiver that always fought to prove himself. And I was like, cool little point there. I think it was wide receiver, not cornerback.
And just the offensive scheme. Like that's just, they use these running backs in ways that even if you're undersized, they'll figure it out.
He's not the greatest receiver either. He's a little prone to the dropsies, which for being a small guy and a speedster, you're getting dicey when that equation isn't equaling 100. So that part's a little worrying, but the opportunity is great.
You have a note here that says his path to immediate work, and I think that resonates a lot because this is always an open RB room for whoever. Them in San Francisco, or what San Francisco used to be.
Yep. And it's an injury prone backfield, not even just always rotating, but injury prone as well. I mean,
100%.
There's a really good chance he starts a game at some point this year.
Robbie, you have any more to add on to Kane, or should we keep it trucking?
No, I think we hit everything.
Tank Bigsby, drafted by Jacksonville Jaguars. Another hateful landing spot for a pretty high-ranking RB in this class. Round 3, 88 overall. Cody, let's hear it.
Yeah, it's interesting because, you see the name and you look at the player and you think, hey, what does this team need? And you would think it's a bruiser. But he's not exactly a bruiser when you watch him. He bounces it quite a bit. Not necessarily a great pass catcher, which you don't really need with ETN there. He's not just your prototypical goal line back, though, which is what I would think this team would theoretically have wanted. Which I say this as an encouraging statement to ETN. I think that means ETN could keep some goal line work, and it doesn't scare me nearly as much as it does Kenneth Walker.
Yeah, I
Robbie,
love that.
You drafted Tank Bigsby, right? It was a run of Tyjae Spears.
Oh, you remember? I think you meant me. No.
Yeah, Tyjae Spears, Tank, and who else? Cedric Tillman.
Yeah. I did take Tank. I think he's going to get work in this offense. I don't know to what capacity. I'm worth taking a 3rd round pick on it and seeing what pans out. He's the number 2 in a high octane offense. We know injury history with ETN, so like that's not out of the. I mean, something could happen to ETN, God forbid, because we all love him. But I agree with what Cody just said. I think he's a very good back, but I think he's more there as an insurance policy and to kind of take a win for ETN. But
he could be a between the 20s guy, which is the worst job in fantasy sports.
100%. I don't think ETN is going to be, he's not going to get 30 to 40 touches a game. He's going to do his damage in like 20 touches. And can Bigsby come in and get 12? Like, yeah, that's a possibility. Could it be some sort of like a Detroit situation from 2 seasons ago? I could definitely see something like that. And I can also see them kind of evolving this offense into hopefully what we all thought last season, where they would use ETN a little bit more in the pass game and get him on some different, some routes, some go routes, some wheel routes, some things like that, where then, you can have both of them on the field maybe in a little bit. But we'll see how this offense evolves. They have Calvin Ridley now, so there's a lot of mouths to feed on that offense, and we'll see how everything kind of pans
out. We are.
I feel like Mario disagrees.
I don't have much insight on Tank yet. It is going to be something I look into, but I have to be honest with you guys. ETN was one of my favorite players in offseason last year, and that dropped dramatically watching Jaguars use him. If you see in a lot of
say that again. I don't think I caught you. It dropped seeing how the Jags used him, you're saying?
I'm sorry. Yes.
You're good. Okay.
It was not encouraging. They use him so inappropriately to what the armchair coach, believe his strengths are, which Rob already touched on. Like, why are we running this dude? He runs so many up the guts, and he does fine with
the gut at the 50-yard line. Like, it's useless.
And they don't give him much tosses. They don't give him much sweeps. It was just real discouraging. If you guys, both the dynasty leagues that we're in together, I think I had him on both my teams. I do not have him anymore.
Wow. So you've got strong feelings then if you unloaded in both leagues.
The amount of pass work he got last year was so discouraging. I'm not expecting Tank to take that. But I think they're just so focused on developing Trevor Lawrence that they're not less necessarily wanting to go to the RB here. It's just a team that has different priorities. They have surrounded him with talent. They have Calvin Ridley, like Rob said. They drafted another tight end, which Doug Peterson loves running 2 tight ends. So, like, there's a lot of things that say we're not passing to the running back. They're what people were afraid the NFL was going to go to, which is we're just going to run a couple times here and there, but we're going to kind of spread the ball out. I can't think of the offense name. Is it the West Coast offense? We're going to run four. Yeah. And that's what people were afraid of, RBs kind of what they were turning to. But really what we have kind of seen start to merge is this pass catching RB, which has been a lot of fun for fantasy.
Just for me on that, what you're saying, I 100% agree with what you just said. The only thing I'll kind of add on to is if Trevor Lawrence can kind of take that next step in the phase of the quarterback play, I really think that he can maybe identify earlier in a play or maybe even pre-snap to see like, okay, this isn't what I want.
This RB out
100%. Like that, it kind of like how Aaron Rodgers or Tom Brady or like those upper echelon quarterbacks we always talk about, like, man, they always seem to get the ball to the running back. Like the running back's always in the pass game a little bit more than the other offenses. If he can take that next step and actually start maybe reading the defense a little better pre-snap or while in the play and just, okay, it's not there. Let me dump down to ETN, one of my boys, and let him do his thing. We can see something special from this offense.
I think ETN's a player you and I are going to disagree on a lot this year, Mario. It'll be fun.
Really?
I think
I'm not saying I think he's RB4, but I feel like you're going to have him. I think I'm going to like him a lot.
RB 17 to 19.
I think it all depends on what you
17 to 19 for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to.
And that's right around where he finished.
For me, it really depends on what you think of Trevor Lawrence and his evolution.
Well, I think his evolution, though, is I agree. Yes,
touchdowns is really what it was. He had 5 total.
And how many targets did he have?
45, but he had 1,125 yards rushing. I mean, he had 1,450 yards total.
He missed a couple games too, didn't he?
No, he played all year.
Did he?
He might have left a couple games, but he did.
45 targets for.
Yeah, he had 1,450 yards.
It's just. We'll save this. Let's pocket it.
Yeah, you're
Plus,
right.
I need my ammo.
Right.
I need to have it ready to go. You know, Sister Soyson. What I know who Cody wanted to go to, kind of be done here. It makes sense. We have a rookie sleeper show. I am contractually obligated to bring up Roschon Johnson.
Okay, I have one too, and no one did.
Oh boy,
I'll be quick.
Have a good night.
Roschon, I need to know your guys' thoughts on Roschon because this guy is a guy that's going to a Chicago Bears offense where they have Deontay Foreman and Khalil Herbert. I mean, you talk about one of the easiest paths to starting and to work, and that's it right there, right? And Roschon is a guy that could have done it in college, was always behind Bijan. So let's go, Cody.
Let me give one stat there. 6.0 and 6.1. 6.0 is yards per carry for Roschon. 6.1 is Bijan Robinson.
I mean, the dude was always overshadowed. He should have transferred out.
He's slow. He's not that exciting, and I don't think he's going to be a star, but he was highly effective and got completely overshadowed.
And think about that in that Chicago offense, right? Like when we're looking at a quarterback that is going to be running the ball a lot too, what you're saying is he's a little bit slower. He's a little bit more of a bruiser. He's a little bit bigger. He's how tall is he? 6'1"? I'll get his stat.
I don't know if he's quite that tall. I could be wrong though. You might be right. He's a 4'6" guy. He's definitely not a burner, but he's just effective. I'll
just add, I think you guys are a little too low on Deontay Foreman, but
come on, not again. 6 foot.
We had all this talk last year. I just think he's a good back.
You know what's funny is Roschon's actually faster than Tyjae Spears. He ran a 4.58 instead of a 4.59.
That's because he got an ACL.
Yes. I mean, there's
him that 0.1.
Deontay Foreman doesn't concern me at all. We watched that fizzle within 4 games.
I think he's good. He was on the worst offense in the league.
We'll keep it going to rookies here. We'll also pocket that one so I could.
Robbie, just to be clear, you don't get all 3 of these. You got to pick
I won't.
one.
No, I just got one.
Okay.
It's got to be
quick mention. No, it's not.
Dwayne McBride.
Oh
no.
Oh,
I want to say Chase Brown.
Yes. The more I go into it and the more research I do with all this, Chase Brown, 5'9", 210, 4.43 speed, over 1,600 yards and 10 touchdowns last year in the Big Ten against legitimate defenses. He had 5 fumbles last season, though, so he's definitely got to clean that up. But he's going to Cincinnati. We all know how good that offense is, how efficient that offense is. And we all know what's going on with Joe Mixon. The dude can't stay out of trouble off the field. All it is one slip up away, and he has a clear path to being the RB1 in one of the top 5 offenses in the league.
I like everything you said.
I
don't think he's an exceptional talent, but I like everything you said.
But you're going to, you know what I mean? It's just the opportunity for him to come in and be on such a high octane offense, especially with a non-running quarterback. Sky's the limit for a running back in that situation.
I can't get over the fact that we have 2 separate instances of Travion Williams getting hyped up by the coaching staff. And I don't understand it. I know it's not like some front. It's too early for that. I just don't know what's going on. This is a guy that is on his 5th year, I believe, that is getting hyped up to replace Perrine. That I would, if I was a Chase Brown owner, not that it matters. You probably got him late 3rd. You shouldn't have got him before then. If I was a Chase Brown owner, that would be also somebody I might stash in Dynasty just because
he's available. Honestly, I dropped him in a league, so I know he's out there.
I stare at him and I'm like, do I drop somebody for this guy? This is the 2nd time. It was I don't remember what coach it was the last time. First time it was Zach, whatever his name is. Very mid.
They haven't seen Chase Brown though. You know what I mean? Like they haven't worked with Chase Brown in a mini camp, a rookie camp. They haven't done this. Him?
No, what have you seen that they haven't? I'm just kidding.
But I'm just saying, like, how many times do we have this conversation year after year in the preseason like this, where coaches are talking about these 3rd string running backs, and
actually, I shouldn't say never hear about them. By August, they're cut.
You know what I mean? These 4th string receivers that, oh my God, they're God's gift of the world, and they.
I was going to say we get that same sort of rookie hype too, though. In your defense,
we'll get that in like 2 months. Yeah. You know what I mean? Then we'll get that wave of, oh my God, this rookie's unbelievable.
And then the first depth chart will come out, and all these guys are going to be 4th string.
You know, yeah. So like, I have any coach talking somebody up this time of the season, like I pay no attention to it, unless it's Justin Fields. That's about it. Because he can.
No, you plug in the TikTok, huh?
Yeah, that TikTok was beautiful, but Fields can throw the ball now, so we're good. He's going to be a top 2 quarterback.
Top 2? Is that what he said?
If you're not already following us on Twitter, check us out at DadBodFS. We're on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Twitch, DadBod Fantasy Squad. Robbie, our bit is over because I got to hurry. We are on all the major streaming platforms for podcast at DadBod Fantasy Squad. For myself, for Robbie, for Cody, peace.